if a personal healing journey could transform into a business that stitches together community, memory, and purpose? Today's guest shows us exactly how. Hi, I'm Sandy Boble Zuniga, the founder of Colorado Springs Town Tidings. Be in the know on the go for all things Colorado Springs, delivered right to your inbox. Today, I'm welcoming Mindy King, founder of Heartfelt Travels. What began as an art therapy after her military service has evolved into a thriving embroidery business, creating custom pieces that celebrate milestones and support local causes. Join us as Mindy shares her story of turning personal healing into community impact. Hi, Mindy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, I am so excited to have you. So, Mindy, before we dive into your business, I am really curious about the woman behind the embroidery. With your military background and now this creative venture, we've had quite a journey because we went ahead and saw you in the VFW Post 101 interview as the commander. And now your journey comes into the embroidery business. So tell us a little bit about where you grew up and what path eventually led you to Colorado Springs.
Absolutely. So I'm originally from a small town in Kansas, called Derby. It's a suburb of Wichita. I grew up in a family that was not military. My grandpa was in the military, but obviously long before I came along. I joined the Army after I was actually almost done with college. I had a guy that I had gone to high school with that was killed in Iraq, July of 2004.
Okay.
And shortly after that is when I started talking to a recruiter because I had looked at joining the military after high school, but since it was not something that I was really familiar with, I took the kind of not normal path, if you will, and went to school and was working at a bank and all that stuff. So I actually was 22 whenever I joined the Army. And then I was in the Army for 6 years. During my first deployment to Iraq, I got hurt, had a back and head injury, and then came back. That was a 15-month deployment. Came back and shortly after that married my now husband, who I had met in Iraq. We flew together as door gunners and crew chiefs for Blackhawks, and then deployed again and was sent back early from that deployment. Spent 10 days at launch school, and about 6 months later, they started my medical evaluation for whether I could continue service. And I was medically retired in January of 2011.
Okay. So then what happened between 2011 and kind of where we are now a little bit?
Yes, so a lot has happened between that time frame. We are in Colorado Springs because my husband is still active duty. Actually, his retirement date is this coming Sunday.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, with a little bit
Super Bowl
over 20.
Sunday.
Yes, with a little bit over 20 years. So our time in the military is coming to an end, but that is how we ended up in Colorado Springs. Um,
Congratulations, by the way,
Thank you.
for him and your
Uh,
family.
yes, we're excited. It's a big change.
Yeah.
Um, in between that time frame between my medical retirement and now, we have moved, I think, 5 times. Done. My husband's been on 7 total deployments,
Wow.
multiple temporary duty assignments, and all of that good stuff. We've lived in Kansas and in Alabama, and then back in Kansas, and now Colorado. And we've had 2 little boys, which are not too little now. One is almost 13 and the other one is 14.
All right.
But in the midst of all of that, when I got out of the military, I struggled a little bit with my identity. Me and my husband were dual military, so our whole world revolved around the Army. And when I was no longer part of that world, it was like, well, what do I do now? And I struggled for a long time with issues with like PTSD and things like that. And I tried a number of different therapies, from the standard sit in the office and tell me how this makes you feel,
Right.
to some that were a little bit off the wall and different. One of the ones that they proposed was art therapy. And I'll be honest, at that point in time, I didn't really put a whole lot of weight in it. And I started actually hand sewing, and just the rhythm of the sewing and kind of being able to take my mind off of other things and focus on what I was doing, ended up being very therapeutic for me. And actually, that's kind of how the name of my business came about. The
I was
first
gonna
thing,
hang on a second
oh,
because I was gonna say I have to ask you, heartfelt travel sounds more like you'd be booking my next vacation than creating custom embroidery. So
it
I'm
does.
curious.
So I do get a lot of people, especially when they just see my business name, they're like, "Are you a travel agent?" And I'm like,
Right.
"No." So the thought behind that, and part of the reason I've never rebranded or changed my name, is it's kind of a reminder of how far things have come from when I first started doing this. It really wasn't intended to be a business to start with. I had made some custom ornaments that were just for archery, that was in the shapes of different places, but they were ornaments made out of felt, and there was a little heart on each one of them that denoted a location. And so it was a felt heart. And then it related to the different places that we had been. And so when I was trying to, after I had started selling a number of them, I kind of crowdsourced and asked for some ideas and whatnot. And Heartfelt Travels was one of the ones that came up.
Right.
And I was like, well, I like that because, it's got the heart, it's related to travels and felt. And of course, back then I didn't expect it to ever grow into what it is today. But, now, once people learn the name, it doesn't take long for it to be associated with embroidery for them versus a travel related business.
I know you always trip me up when I see your text come in or I'm texting, I'm just like, travel, okay. And then I go, no, no, that's Mindy, that's embroidery. I'm good. And the felt I got, absolutely got that. I'm like, all right, I'm in there. The travel is the one that tripped me up. However, the way you explain it and where it came from, it is so personal to your journey, to your family, that
Mhm.
I love that part. And it's hard to argue with it.
Yeah.
You say you just got to go with it, and
Yep.
there's a story. The good thing is this segment is at least going to go out so people will know.
Yes, absolutely.
So we get to tell the story. So, what moment during your art therapy first sparked the idea that this could be more than just personal healing?
Honestly, it wasn't my thought that came about. I posted pictures of these ornaments that I had made, and people were like, I want a set. I want a set. Can you make this location? Can you make this country? And I was like, well, I don't know why not.
Right.
And
I could
so
do anything.
yeah, so it wasn't ever intentional, and it never crossed my mind that it would turn into something that was a business to start with, or something that would become completely full time.
Right. Wow. And yet now it is.
It
And
is,
you've
yes,
and you've grown from hand sewing to more advanced equipment and other things, right?
absolutely. So after about 6 months or so of the hand sewing, my husband bought me just a very basic combination sewing and embroidery machine. And I used that for for about a year or so to kind of get some, figure things out, learn things. And if you look at the stuff that I did back then, I'm like, oh man, I was not very good at this. I was still very much learning all the processes, and I still learn. I mean, there's new things that come out all the time, that people come up with. And, like a new trend that's happened recently is the split sweatshirts, where they take a sweatshirt or take two sweatshirts that are two different colors and cut them in half and then
Really?
sew two colors together and make it that way. And so, I mean, there's always people come up with new ideas and new projects, and it never is one of those things that it never gets old. Like I have some projects that are just like the same, hoop this, stitch it, good. But there's other things that there's always new challenges that come up.
My goodness. Are you making those split sweatshirts?
I have made a couple of them, yes.
Happy. So are you actually cutting and sewing them together, or you buy one that's already half and half?
No, I cut them and sew them together myself.
So you're a
Because
seamstress as well as an embroiderer.
yes, I don't actively do seamstress type stuff though, just because like I still, unless I am like really, really focusing, sewing a straight line is not my forte. So hemming and all that stuff is not in my wheelhouse.
I can relate, but I don't have a business for that.
Yeah.
Great. Um, so when you have your items, say they want a shirt or hat or anything, do you buy those either in bulk or specifically, or does somebody have to have that and send it to you for you to embroider on it?
So the majority of items I order, I don't necessarily order them in bulk, but I do have suppliers that I get the items from, at a wholesale cost. But there are some things that are very specific that individuals want, that they may want to get from their own location, or it may be something that's not offered through one of my suppliers. Or a lot of, and especially women run into this, sizing is so inconsistent that they want to be able to try the items on before they have them stitched, because it would be horrible to get something, paid for an item, pay to have it embroidered, and then find out it doesn't fit right.
Yeah.
And so I find a lot of that as well, where they will go and find items that they can try on, make sure fit them well before they bring them to me to be stitched. So I do both.
Do it
There's
all,
Yeah, it's not one of those things where, because I know some places won't take items that are purchased elsewhere.
right?
So it is one of those, like I'm fine with either way.
Right. And I found just trying to get uh, merchandise, labeled merchandise for the Colorado Springs Town Tidings, I found a lot of the things are unisex and
Hmm.
they're very either sweatshirt or a t-shirt, and I'm looking for something a little bit nicer if I can,
Yeah,
but when you put it on, you know, either the sizing is wrong like you said, or it looks like you got a guy's shirt. I mean, there's no contouring or anything, and
yeah,
it's like I'm going to look like a girl a little bit.
right, right.
So
Yeah,
I'm
and
finding that's hard.
that's the beauty of it, is like, because people can bring items to me, they can find whatever they want. And I've had some very unique items that have been brought to me
Really?
to embroider. But it gives them I mean, the item itself may be unique, but then you add your own touch to it with, embroidery, whether it's your logo or whatever else, you make it your own. And it becomes your item, not just an item that is kind of unique.
Right. So now that you opened that door up, what are some of the unique items that you can remember that you've done?
Oh man, I do make a lot of guidons, similar to, or like guidons. I actually work with another small business that makes plaques and things like that, and so I make the embroidered part where it looks like the guidon for the, like the flag for the unit. So I make a lot of those. I've done wreath sashes. Um, oh goodness, now that you ask, I can't really think of anything specific.
Is there
You know,
any like odd clothing items that have come in that you're like, huh, I wonder where I'm going to put that?
there's ones every once in a while. It's more of the placement of certain things. Like it never fails that like pockets are right where a logo should go. So there's a lot of finagling and moving things around. I have done some where there's been like wording down the sleeve that was a little bit different because that actually requires a special hoop for it.
Okay.
So there's things like that. I have had requests for shoes in the past. That also requires a special hoop, which is not something that I have. I don't get enough requests for those to
Right.
make it something to offer. But even like the tongue of a shoe, like I've done monograms on like a tongue of a shoe for like a wedding.
Okay.
So I mean, there's if you can get a hoop on it, you can probably stitch it.
Okay. I was wondering if you did anything for like dresses, weddings, or some kind of special occasion if you've had any of those requests.
I've done more of the ones that I've done for weddings have been more like gifts for the wedding party, or like I had one lady and I've done a couple for her now. She makes these custom handkerchiefs that has blue on it and everything else. But she has me embroider special details about the couple on these
Okay.
handkerchiefs, and it's something that's given to the bride for her to carry that day of.
Right.
So,
Something
there's things like
borrowed and
that.
something blue, or at least
Yeah,
something blue. I don't
yeah,
think it's borrowed. I guess it's given. So
right,
they have to find something else. Unless they say it's borrowed for now and then after the wedding it's yours.
right. There you go.
So we could do that. Well, thanks. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I thought you opened that door. I'm going through it. So, how has your military experience influenced the way you approach both business challenges and we've talked about you do a ton of community service. So, how does that experience for both those challenges?
I think for me, the military side of things very much gives me that will to, especially whenever there is a challenging item or things like that, it gives me that drive. Like I've still got that drive of the mission must be complete. Even though it may be a matter of stitching something, it's, I'm going to figure out a way to make this work. Sometimes it takes being very creative with things to make that work. Also, the aspect of uh, I do work a lot of hours. A lot of times I get up because I leave at 6:45 every morning to take my son to school, and so from the time I get back from taking him to school, and then throughout the day, and a lot of times till 11, 12 o'clock at night, I'm still working on things. So there's also that not really having time off, and some of the things that are not necessarily good for you from the
Right.
military. I've also carried forward my somewhat need for energy drinks. So that,
Okay.
um, but I mean, as far as that, I mean, very much the detail orientation, making sure that things are done right, all of that type of stuff, which was very valuable whenever I was in the military as well. You have your uniforms that have to be set up a certain way, and I think that mindset has very much transferred over into when I'm working on producing an item, making sure that the the logos are straight and they're where they need to be positioned and all of that type of stuff. And I also have a standard. If something doesn't meet a standard, it doesn't go out. I'll remake it or whatever the circumstance may be, but it will not go out if it doesn't meet my standards.
So are you trying to say like your embroidery pieces at least are the equivalent of hospital corners in the
To an
military?
extent, yes. Making sure that everything is like just right where it needs to be.
Your bed is made with hospital corners
Yes.
before it goes out. Well, at least you don't, hopefully, you don't have anybody yelling at you if something did get goofed up.
Yes, and there's no tossing of my embroidery room whenever if something gets messed up. Although there has been a couple of times that projects have been like kind of thrown out of the way because I'm like, I need a break for a minute. I'll come back to it in a few minutes.
Right. I was going to say there's nobody else doing it, but are there times that you're just like, ah, and then throw the, and go,
Yes.
okay.
Actually, so so I have four multi-needle embroidery machines, and each one of them have a name. And there will be some days that I'm just like, Ruby is being difficult today. And it's funny because like my boys know exactly which machine I'm talking about if I say something, or like if they go down, because I work in the basement. If something was just finishing up or whatnot, I may walk away to go finish something real quick. And if my boys are going downstairs to like let the dogs out, I'll be like, hey, can you shut Ruby off? Or, whatever. But there's times that I kind of talk like I work with other people. But it's honestly my machines. It doesn't make me sound quite as crazy if I'm say, instead of this machine has got an attitude today, it'll be like Rosie's got an attitude today.
So none of them, so you have four machines, none of them are named Maggot, huh?
No,
Hey,
no.
Maggot, start working.
No, actually my boys have named all of them. So
So we got Ruby and Rosie.
Ruby, Rosie, Rico, and Brody.
Wait a second, where did a bee come in?
So Brody was my machine. I got this last summer, and they were like, you have two girls and a boy already, so it needs to be a boy name. But then they couldn't find an R boy name that they liked. So it ended up with Brody. So
Okay, so now you got two boys and two girls.
yeah.
Which one gives you the most problems?
Uh I would probably combination. There's one of the Ruby and Rico are my two most challenging
Okay.
ones. So I got one of each that's a little difficult.
Look at you being very PC. A boy and a girl.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, thanks for sharing that. So if anybody's around on the phone and you hear Mindy say, "Hey Rico," or Rosie, or let's go, you'll know she's talking to one of her machines.
Yes.
Great. So now you've created pieces that mark milestones in families' lives for a lot of years.
Mhm.
What's the most meaningful project that still sits with you today?
Oh, there's been a lot of them. I've been
Great, we
able,
have time. Give us
yeah.
a couple.
Uh, so a few years ago, when we lived in our old neighborhood, is actually right after we moved out of our neighborhood. Our neighbor that lived across the street from us, they lost their teenage daughter in a car accident.
Oh,
And I made, because her favorite color was purple, I made purple ribbons for her memorial service. And then there was a number of the kids that she went to high school with that wanted little things embroidered on their letter jackets in reference to her. And so, actually, one of the test stitches I had done for one of those that had her name on it. Before I actually stitched on the letter jacket, I actually still have hung up in my workspace. So it's just kind of a little reminder for me, just take every day for what it is. Um, and so there was that one. And then there's been two that I've made. I've taken images of one was a baby and one was a toddler who had passed away. And I took pictures of them and took them and, added wings and made it look like they were on a cloud. One was a sweatshirt for the mom, and the other one was an ornament for the family. Um, so those always stick with me a little bit more than other ones do, but there's some that are a little bit tougher.
Yeah. Those are definitely, they're dark in a way because unfortunately we've lost some beautiful people and children, and so those have to be hard. And then on the flip side is we can't do anything about bringing them back, but with your work you are keeping a piece of their memory on whatever you're stitching forever, because those things just don't fade and they don't crumble. That is part of their memory going forward, which is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I was, I don't know if there's a flip side, if there's any like jubilant things that stick in your mind, but of course, those very heartfelt ones will always be there before anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on the other side of that, um, was I've actually done some ornaments that are sonograms of
Oh,
for to be moms.
uh-huh.
And there was the very first one I did was actually for a dual military couple, and he was deployed up until right before the baby was born. And um, she actually, their Christmas card picture that they sent out for that year was a picture, and it had the ornament that I had made with the sonogram on it in
Yes.
the forefront, and then her and her husband and the baby sitting together on the couch, like kind of blurred in the background. And it was so cool
Wow.
because it was like it was such a focal point for them, and it's something that they can always, as opposed to having like, we all, I think, we have the sonogram pictures that kind of get shuffled or put in baby books or things like that. That's something that each year, whenever they put up their Christmas tree, it's, such a joyful memory.
This is your first Christmas.
Right.
And then you get the picture of, of the baby being, after it's born and
Yeah.
everything. And so it's like, okay, now they got a conundrum. Which one was first?
Right.
Different stages.
Yes.
So that's awesome. And then they featured your piece for their Christmas card. So
Yeah.
that's another testament to the work you're doing and the lives you're touching and making an income out of it,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
all great. So now you're no longer hand stitching, or are you?
I
You have the
still
machines,
Right. I still get orders every once in a while that are for hand stitched, that they want the hand stitched ornaments and things like that. So I still do them from time to time. I just don't get requests for them very often, but I don't advertise them very much either. So,
right? So walk me through a little bit. So these machines are there, and I saw one of your Facebook posts saying you had these hoops or something. You're like, guess how much they are, and I was totally off. And so are a lot of people in general
mhm,
who are not in that industry. So
right.
I wasn't bad, but I wasn't close either. And so you have those hoops go on the machine.
Yes, so they weren't fully put together in that picture. They didn't have the brackets on the outside on them yet. But there's arms that come out from the machine, and that's where the hoop slides onto, and that's what holds it in place. And the arms move it back and forth and around. The hoop is what keeps the fabric tight and holds it in place while it's stitching.
Okay. So you would take, say, a sweatshirt, you would
Mhm.
put that inside the hoop and then have the arms kind of holding it, and then so it's just that piece that you need to embroider. So
Right.
is it then does it come from a computer where you put the design in and then it goes into there and then it just starts doing it?
Yes. So once so like from the time that somebody sends me like their logo, Their logo. So I do outsource my digitizing, which is actually converting it from the image into a logo. Just because of I don't have enough hours in a day, in all
Right,
honesty. But I have a phenomenal digitizer that I work with every day, literally.
right.
And so he takes that file and he'll convert it into an embroidery file for me. From there, I put it on my computer and do any last minute tweaks, touches, any of that. Then it's either put on a thumb drive. So three of my computers take a thumb drive. My one of my machines is too old to take thumb drives. And so I
Does it
actually
take
have to
one of
have,
those 4x4 flat discs?
no, not quite like that, but it does take a square connector to it,
Okay.
that are actually getting harder and harder to find. So I've stocked up on a few of them just so I make
Okay.
sure I have them.
You might be too young to remember those floppy disks.
Oh no, I remember floppy
Okay.
disks. um, but um, then I have to hook it up to the computer and copy it over. But it's one of those
Which
things
one is
that with
that?
Ruby,
So that's why she's difficult.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I mean, she is 25 years old, so I will give
Right.
her a little bit of credit. She's a little bit older out of the group, so um, but uh, but yeah, once the item is digitized and get it put onto a thumb drive to go onto the embroidery machine, from there you actually go through and select what color threads, get the threads loaded up, because not every thread color is going to be one you already have on there.
Right.
So you have to rethread the machine for any colors you need to change. And then before I ever do any stitching, I do some tracing, which is what the machine does, where it allows you to see the sizing of the design, where the placement's going to be, all that other stuff, so you can make all of those fine tune adjustments once it's actually on the machine. And then once all of that takes place, then you're ready to actually start your stitching.
Right. Yeah, with the thread. And so what kind of file does somebody need to send you? Is it like a JPEG, PNG, or any of those?
Honestly, my digitizer can work through from almost any file type. I've sent him PDFs, and he's been
Oh,
able
wow.
to work from the images on that, as long as the image is clear. The biggest thing is if you send something that's a little blurry and fuzzy, it makes it harder to actually figure out like where lines are and those
All
type of
right.
things. But as long as that's a clear image, and pretty much work from about anything.
Okay, yeah, so it doesn't have to be one of those SVG files or
Mm-mm.
something. Okay, that's good to know because not everybody has them. In fact, I think my logo is a very low resolution, more for digital than
Right.
for anything else, which is a pain when I need to print, or if I send it over to you for embroidery, we're gonna have to figure that out, but we'll do that later. So between the VFW leadership and Heartfelt Travels, how do you weave, wink, wink, together these different parts of your identity?
Well, I mean, outside of the VFW, there's a lot of other organizations that I'm involved in. I'm part of the American Legion. I'm involved in the Women's Army Corps. I'm a member of the Pikes Peak Veterans Council. I also work with a lot of other nonprofits here locally. Um, but what I get to do, because I am 100% disabled veteran, so I was medically retired, so I do receive a funds monthly from the Army because I do go through ongoing treatment and all that stuff from those injuries. But that allows me to use um, some of the funds that I make through my business to actually give back. I try to really be involved in the community, um, because I do have my own schedule. I'm able to be a little bit more flexible with my hours. So I do try to give back, both with volunteer time and financially. One of the more recent larger things that I was able to do is right before Christmas, there was an organization that looked at the fact that you have a lot of kids, like the Salvation Army and other places, like the Angel Trees and everything.
Right.
Most of them go up to age 12 or 13 for the kids. So that means the teenagers are kind of overlooked. And if, it's one of those things that these families are struggling financially, they may not be able to get gifts for the teenagers either. So this one organization, a Mother's Guide to Survive, I think I'm saying that right. She decided to do a similar type concept, but for teenagers. And one of the things almost all the kids asked for was like t-shirts and hoodies.
Oh,
Well, I keep an inventory of blanks here, so that way, if there's something that somebody orders, if I can fill it from what I have in my inventory, then great. Well, she had about 104 kids, teenagers that were part of that. And so I was able, it ended up being about 110 items, mostly hoodies and sweatshirts. That I was able to donate for their event. So each one of the kids got a new item of clothing in addition to whatever they had donated. So there's a lot of things like that that, if I find that ability to be able to do so, to try to give back, I do.
yeah. And it's right in your wheelhouse as well. But that would seem like a perfect cause for you for what you already had to be able to do that. But I know you do a whole lot. I mean, I we'd be exhausted just hearing about each of it. Not not to mention actually going and doing it. But I know also right now, and this interview will be evergreen. So hopefully in a year, this will all be done. But the VFW Post 101 on South Tejon, that is needing the community because you give back all the time and you're also giving to that needs a new HVAC system, and that's $39,000. And we are at this time, we're at the end of January. You have until the end of March, where if you don't get it funded, there are consequences on that. Maybe whatever, maybe the agreement you have to hold it isn't there, the cost goes up because of labor or anything like that. So I would love it if our community can just, every little bit helps. And even with my
Absolutely.
audience, if we have everybody chip in $50, I have to do the math, but we'd be close with my audience. Of course, not everybody can or will, but if
Right.
we can get as many in the community just to give a little, nobody has to uh, so not nobody has to go without anything, and yet we go
Right.
ahead and help you get the system you need for such a place that is meaningful. And it's 100, how many, 100 what years old?
Our post itself is 106 years old,
Right.
but our building is 121 years old.
Exactly. So not only is it a place for the veterans to come and have camaraderie and be able to talk to other people who are have had similar situations, but families that come, you host a whole lot of other things, little fun nights for families and also for the veterans,
Mhm.
and even craft shows to bring the community in. So it's not just isolated. This is,
Right.
and it's also, I don't know how it's not a historic site. I mean, what's up with that?
So we have to finish getting everything verified. We'd been trying to find the official building date, and actually when we were going through and doing the painting this last month, we were able to locate all of that paperwork. So we
Nice.
just able were to verify everything to where we can move forward with that process.
Yeah, so again, it's a historical site, even though it's not officially, but it's got to be one of the older buildings there. So it's important for us to keep the history and to keep such a community-driven place going. So if we can get the funds to get that HVAC system, I know everyone at the post would be appreciative
Very
and
much so.
full of gratitude, but also us as a community, we can contribute and also have a sense of gratitude that you keep it going, and that is a piece of history on top of everything else that is actually there for anybody even to drive by. How amazing that is. So I'm off my
Absolutely.
soapbox. I just had to, I mean that's one of the things. Again, you can't fund it personally, and neither
Mm-mm.
can I, but our community together. So for you giving back so much for the community, it would be great if we could all pitch in and help one of your causes that you need.
That would be very, very much really appreciated.
Okay, so let's go back to the embroidery. When you look at maybe that first piece, I know you were talking about ornaments that you were doing hand stitching. When you look back at that and some of your earlier pieces versus the work today, what
Mhm.
evolution do you see beyond just the craftsmanship?
Um, just there was a lot of techniques that when I first started doing it that I was like I put off trying for a long time just because I was like, I don't know about this. And now that's stuff that I do every day. And it's some, some of it's stuff that I don't even think twice about because it's just this is what I do.
Right.
And but not even just that, learning seeing the difference in just using designs that I had purchased offline versus, having items custom made now. Or even, I do create some on my own that are, more basic whenever I do have time. So just seeing the the difference in the quality, the you could just tell that somebody who didn't know what they were doing was doing the stuff originally, and that I'm a little more well versed in it now.
So that's the craftsmanship. What about, is there any change that you see or think back on your mental state, emotional state, or and maybe physical? I don't know if you, hopefully you don't have arthritis from the little sewing.
um, no, I do get a little swelling in my hands from time to time, but yeah, I've noticed that there are some days that, especially like right before Christmas when it's really, really busy, that's a little bit more stressful. But I still get that sense kind of, like when all four of the machines are running and everything's just kind of like smoothly going along. Like
Humming
it's
along.
yeah, it's just very, even though it's loud, it's still calming because it's like things are running smoothly and things are, moving on. It's very much it can still very much be a calming state for me.
Okay. Yeah, that I'm I don't like noise all that much, but some kind of humming sort of, especially if it's something that you've got going on and progress is being made. And so
Yep,
that must be a beautiful humming sound for you.
it is. Yes.
Until Ruby goes ahead and starts coughing or something. I don't know what she makes, what sounds.
Normally it's just coming to an abrupt stop.
Oh, it's humming and then all of a sudden she's
Yep, pretty much.
you go, she's being difficult again.
Yep.
So, Mindy, how can people get a hold of you, and what do you want them to know if they are looking to get something embroidered or use your service?
Sure. So, I get a lot of people that contact me mainly through my Facebook page, which is just under your Heartfelt Travels on Facebook. And then they can always contact me in my email as well, which is Mindy at heartfelttravelsllc.com. And I think the biggest thing that I've noticed that kind of gets or is misunderstood about embroidery, and something that would be nice for people to be aware of is I get a lot of questions about people asking, well, why is embroidery so much more than like screen print or things like that? Um, just for base thought process, a Cricut or something like that that you're cutting vinyl with, you can get one for under $300 that is going to do the trick for what you need. You may need a heat press, which is like another $150, and plus your vinyl and stuff. Altogether, you're looking at under $1,000 of an investment to get yourself started. When you're talking about embroidery, they are fully computerized machines. And so, like my first multi needle embroidery machine, which is Rosie, I purchased 6 years ago. And when I had a base trade in, and even with the trade in, it was over $15,000 for that machine.
Wow.
So when you talk about that just being the machine, and then you talk about all the different thread colors, the embroidery software, the hoops, all of that type of stuff, you have a much more significant investment to be able to start doing embroidery. And it takes a lot more time and effort to really learn and get the skills down and the tricks and all of that other stuff. So when you're looking at things and somebody gives you a price and says, oh, well, it's going to be this much, keep in mind the investment that that person has put in. Because I mean, outside of just the machines itself, my machines average having to go in for service once a year, and my to have my machine serviced, just one of them is about $450.
Wow.
So you're looking at a good amount of money that goes out. So a lot of that you see charged for embroidery, there's a lot of it that's going into the supplies and the maintaining of the machines and all of that type of stuff.
Right. And you are a single entrepreneur with these machines. You are not a factory. You are not a business that has multiple machines, multiple employees, or anything. You are the quintessential entrepreneur with high investment in your machines for your craft
Right.
to be able to do this. So if somebody really is looking to support local small business, you're it
Yep, absolutely.
for sure. And so that's helpful in general. Just, uh, I mean, I didn't know this, but my mom, she used to buy all kinds of stuff. I don't know how old it was, but I looked at the crickets and I'm like, huh, I wonder, I'm creative. So I thought I used to be very crafty when I was younger, not anymore. And I just don't have the time or the bandwidth. But I saw
Right.
that in their basement with all the other stuff, the potato um peeler and all kinds of stuff. You were be like, what the heck? So I got that, I brought it home and I looked at it and I'm like, all right, there are too many instructions. I never even took it. I mean, I took it out of the box, but I never used it. I'm like, it's too much. I don't do well with instructions. As a kid, when I had the family circle or women's day and they had the beautiful centerpiece or wreath or something for the holiday, I would look at it and go, cool. And then I kind of look at the instructions and it
Nope.
just to see like what did I need? But reading the instructions and stuff, I'm like, no way. It was a suggestion. Now, anything I did did look like a sixth grader or 6-year-old did it. So there's probably something I should have read on there, but I do that with recipes too. I'm like, I glance at it, go, I got it, and then whatever comes out, comes out. So this Cricut machine was just too too much. So I never used it, and I think it was before it was a little more sophisticated where you could put an app or something. So I think it was the one before that. And so I don't envy that. I mean, there are plenty of people who use it and do amazing stuff. I'm just not one of them. So I would definitely have to come to you. But I remember also, you're talking about silk screens and stuff. Again, you may be too young, but when I was a teenager, I remember going to the it used to be a roller rink, and then it became a flea market. And then you go there and you'd have those places, those booths that had the iron thing, and
Yep.
you'd go and you'd look for your pattern, and then you pick the shirt, and then they press it on there, and I can still smell the burning of that pattern on
Yep.
that shirt. I mean, that's weird, and it was a long time ago, but I could still smell that. And that is totally different. And we used to have like the baseball shirts where the sleeves were a different color, and then the
Yep.
bodice was like white, and then that's where the sticky pattern went on. And so your cloth, your garment was stiff because it had this big pattern on it. Anyway, thanks for letting me go down memory lane on that one. But as opposed to your embroidery, which is it's more refined, and it's just a different level. If you need something that is uh, something else, go for it. If you need something that's a little more upscale or a different feel, then Mindy's your gal.
Absolutely.
That's what I believe. Great. Is there anything else that you'd like to let my audience know?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, did we cover it all?
I think so.
Okay, Mindy, your journey from military service to creative entrepreneurship reminds us why local businesses mean so much to our community. Each stitch represents not just craftsmanship, but the personal stories and connections that make our city special. For those inspired by Mindy's work, you can find Heartfelt Travels on Facebook. Right now, I think she's working on her website, so just go to Facebook and just type in Your Heartfelt Travels, and it should pop up. I'll also put a link in the article. Or you can email her at Mindy, M-I-N-D-Y, at heartfelttravelsllc.com. Now there's no "your" in that one, so it's just Mindy at heartfelttravelsllc.com. And she's really good about getting back, even though she's so busy. So go ahead and contact her. And this is exactly why I believe every local business has a story worth telling, because behind each owner is a journey of passion, purpose, and perseverance that makes up the unique fabric of our community. To discover more inspiring local businesses like Heartfelt Travels, subscribe to Colorado Springs Town Tidings at cos.towntidings.com. I'm Sandy Boble Zuniga, celebrating our city one business at a time, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, Mindy.
Thank you.